today we see 1 in 4 adult is overweight, 1 in 10 is diabetic. Cardiovascular heart disease, the number one killer. And I think we're approaching all of these much faster than the West.
In our nation, hardly about 5% of all these diabetic might be in type 1 diabetic.
I'm diabetic, but my weight is fine. My heart health is also okay. And I've also seen people who are, in proper weight, but yet facing cholesterol issues.
They don't have to come to meet a doctor because हमको मिलके क्या करेंगे, ये घर ही घर में कर दो, आपका काम ऐसे ही हो जाएगा.
Because I'm diabetic, I get tired very fast. Now I don't have the strength that I used to have before.
Diabetes-like diseases are completely reversible. The type 2 is surely reversible.
Let's understand what are the early symptoms of diabetes.
It eats out your body like a termite.
What silent signals do you see in the patient that indicates a cardiac?
Diabetes is not genetic, it is cultural.
Many a times report says all normal, yet the next is something.
Absolutely. So diabetes is I would say is the father of all diseases.
Also stress makes you obese.
That allopathy is based on Ayurvedic concepts only.
Where is the biggest gap that you see right now in our medical system?
ये चीजें होते रहने वाली है.
Welcome Dr. Rohit Sahane to next page. Let's flip with me. That's Nihakarvat. We're going to flip the pages of Panchkarma, of Ayurveda, and the importance of Ayurvedic in the triad of diabetes, obesity, and heart health. Right? So as a leadership coach, I came across one of the incident and few months back. I was working with a leader who was 38 years old, and I always believe that mind and body are part of the same system, so should be taken care. So he was doing, of course, wonders, and he came for leadership coaching to me, but he was absolutely unfit. So I told him that you need to do something, go for a walk or swim, or if you can spare some time and do gymming, because I believe muscle training is also a very good aspect to your growing age. He just answered me by saying that, I'm not a fitness freak. I'm a business leader. I have to spend all my time working, because there's so much responsibilities I have. There is all the people's salary work on me and etc. Until one day, I think he was 38, when he was hit with a mild heart attack. Of course, he went to the hospital by himself, but that's where he realized the importance of it.
That's very shocking to know that. But what I would like to say on this would be, if at all that human being has spoken about that he is a business coach and a business leader, I would always say that our body is a huge, big orchestra of business. There's a huge amount of transactions that are going on inside. For every carbon dioxide that we give out, we are supposed to put in the oxygen molecule inside. For every urine output that we are supposed to give out, we are supposed to drink that much amount of water. So there are a huge amount of transactions that are going on, which we realize and which we don't realize. Those transactions also, whatever going inside the cells within each and every mitochondria, they are huge enough. So every business coach or else every businessman or every customer, they should be aware about everything that is going on inside, whether they love being a fitness freak or not. Everybody has to take care of their health, because at the end of the day, whether you are successful or whether you are not successful, what is important is how do you live your life and how do you manage your own body. Because at the end of the day, success will be available to each and every person sooner or later, but till that he should be quite fit to enjoy that success. So I would always rather say that instead of concentrating on your work completely, hardly it would take about 35 to 40 minutes max in those 24 hours to concentrate on your own human body. Make it happy. Your work will be what you will be enjoying for the whole remaining months.
Also, as you mentioned the word success, I think success का definition बहुत अलग होता है हर किसी के लिए. कुछ के लिए पैसा, किसी के लिए health, किसी के लिए family. I was recently as yesterday evening, diabetic from the context. I watched this movie Idli Wala on Netflix. A beautiful movie of a man from a village whose son goes to Bangkok and becomes works with a very big hotel company. But his father, the entire movie is revolving around the father, for whom the success is to be in the village, make idli paste today also, in this time when there is a machines available, through, खुद के हाथ से पीस कर अपने हाथ से बनाना. एंड जब वो गांव के वही कुछ लोग जब रोज आते हैं, खाते हैं, अप्रिशिएट करते हैं और उसे पैसे देते हैं, आई थिंक दैट्स व्हाट सक्सेस मेट फॉर हिम. एंड द बिगर सक्सेस वाज व्हेन ही डाइड. The entire village came because that man never till his death, never did and use any quick formula to make that idli. He made that idli with a lot of love by waking every day 3 a.m. in the morning, and for kids who used to study, उनको free में खिलाते थे.
Super, super. So according to me ना, success का definition यही होगा शायद कि after you die, how many people come to just give condolences, or how many people think about you even after you are not there in this whole world? Because in business also there is a simple phrase that is usually called as who will cry after you die. So that is the most important thing for success. And according to me, health also has something to do with this kind of definition of success, because it has been usually said that for your heart, for your blood to be healthy, what is important are those happy hormones that get secreted from your mind every now and then, and that makes you feel successful even though you are not successful at some point of time. If at all you have those hormones secreted inside which will make you feel successful, which will make you happy, you have won the way. Because if those hormones come in, your blood vessels get dilated, your heart becomes more healthy, and you at the end of the day are super healthy.
Absolutely. So at next page, what we do, doctor, while we will talk about the health, we'll talk about the triads, because you are here with us, so we would not let you go without having the best knowledge that we can. But the idea of next page is to, inspire the audiences from the age of 25 to 45, 55, who are visionary, who are dreamers. So I believe that every individual has been successful in certain ways in their life. What your story, your knowledge, your experiences through your journey, through your mindset, the way you think, the way you act can inspire the other person. Because today this 300 centers was not opened by just waking up one time day, right? There was a journey which you led through that.
Absolutely.
And there are many moments where you want to give up also.
Very true. Very true.
So what goes behind that mind who treats the other people? We would love to know that also time and again in the conversation.
Okay. According to me, what keeps this whole thing alive is the passion within us. Like, for example, in my case, I lost my father to a heart attack in the year 2004. And before that, I was a die-hard fan of allopathy. And I was a learned person at that moment of time and was practicing good amount of allopathy at that time. But in the year 2004, when I admitted my father in the nearest ICU, and I did everything for him for those 17 days. 17 days, I was just going through all that kind of frustration in spite of all the mechanical things, in spite of all the techniques that we had, in spite of all the seniors and juniors that we had treating him. I did not succeed in all these things, and I lost my father at the end of the 17 days. In those 17 days, whatever frustration I was going through, I had to vent it out by some or the other way. Usual people vent it out by having their anger on the doctors or else on the hospitals. But I had an option over there to vent out my anger on that disease, which killed my father. So from that day itself, my war against that disease began. So that single individual day, which I remember till today, makes me completely go behind that disease reversal, that yes, some or the other day I will say sorry to him by reversing all these diseases and making India fit, because I couldn't say sorry to my father. I would be saying sorry to each and every other father. I couldn't help it. That was a simple thing that has been keeping me alive, and I'm going through all those things. Like you said, there are several ups and downs that would happen, but we are supposed to keep this in mind. It is not over until you say it's over. So when I am sure about it, that today it was a bad day, no worries. Tomorrow I'll get back and go again into the same arena and fight against the whole thing. And I'm sure about it. आज नहीं तो कल जरूर जीतूंगा.
So, as we continue this conversation, let's begin with the very first conversation. You have treated thousands of patients by today, right? And Madhava, you've also set your inspiration behind, what made you get started with this. But what made you focus on this triad, this triangle of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease? Why do you think these three are really deeply connected and it's important?
Okay. So, as I just mentioned, the story began with treating heart disease. So, in the year, I think 2006, we began with the whole process. Till then, we had copyrighted few therapies and we started implementing those therapies in all those patients. We got a good amount of success in treating heart diseases. We could reverse several of these patients. All those patients who were advised for angioplasty as well as bypass surgeries, who used to feel breathless while walking, while climbing up the stairs, they used to feel that chest pain even after walking for 10 steps. All such kind of patients used to come to us and we used to treat them. So that gave us a good amount of success. People started referring their own relatives and the number of patients started increasing. We also got a good amount of success in reversing those diseases. But after 4-6 years of all this, whatever we were doing, we could see that after 5-6 years, people used to come back after reversing their diseases and going back into the same cascade once again. There is where we started researching into the whole topic and we realized that it was the risk factors which we had left them back into the patient's body. We had not treated them, because if a heart patient comes into us, this heart patient is usually either with blood pressure or else with diabetes or else obesity or else the lipids, that means cholesterol and other things. So all those risk factors usually make this heart disease go worsened. We used to treat heart disease. We used to make that person fit and fine. He used to enjoy his daily course and those patients used to get discharged. But after 4-5 years when they used to come back, we realized that all these risk factors are creating problems and they are leading to this recurrence of the disease. There is where we started researching on those risk factors and tried to analyze what is exactly going wrong into it and uski treatment किस प्रकार से होनी चाहिए. There is where we realize that this triad of obesity as well as diabetes and heart disease is the worst triad for our nation, and we are supposed to do something, because if at all the people get into recurrence of these diseases again and again, that is not going to be enough, because that will hamper the heart functioning sooner or later. Hence, we started working on it. There was a huge amount of research back, forth, whatever things were happening, but we succeeded with coming up with various different treatment and therapy lines, which helped the people to reverse diabetes as well as obesity also without any surgical intervention. So that was a simple kind of journey which we had gone through, but it was quite interesting, because one thing, when you start doing one thing, you get challenges on when you go ahead with treating those things. Whenever you start addressing those challenges, obviously you get success, but newer things come up, and that is how life is all about. So I think it was an interesting journey, but was a simple journey, because we believe that we have to do whatever is right for the patient and right for the community. We kept on treating those patients, and once, as soon as we went ahead, there was a huge amount of knowledge that was generated, and that has helped us to reach to about 350 clinics and 4 hospitals still today.
So tell us, I have also seen people, they say that, I'm diabetic, but my weight is fine. My heart health is also okay. And I've also seen people who are, in proper weight, but yet facing cholesterol issues. So how are these connected? Really, how are these connected?
Absolutely. So there are so many instances in which there are obese patients who are diabetic, and there are several instances where the patients are obese but they are not diabetic. So not necessarily every obese patient has to be a diabetic, and not necessarily every diabetic patient has to be obese. These two are different diseases. Many a times they collide with each other and try to present together. But if we see a connection in between both of these diseases like obesity and diabetes, we just need to understand the whole mechanism behind diabetes. What is diabetes? Diabetes is nothing else but excess amount of sugar that has been there in your blood channel. Now, this excess amount of sugar which has been in your blood channel, this sugar was supposed to travel from the blood column into the muscle mass. Everybody has muscles with them, and those muscles need sugar for their source of energy. So this sugar which was there in your blood column, this was supposed to travel into the muscle mass and get utilized as energy. But what has happened is, from the blood column to the muscle mass, there are various channels, where in medical terms we call them as GLUT4 channels. And these GLUT4 channels, they do need insulin-like agents to transport this blood sugar into the muscle. Now, based on this, there are two types of diabetes. One, in whom there is no insulin available to transport this sugar into the muscle. That is one type 1 diabetes. While type 2 diabetes, there is good amount of insulin present in the blood which will transport the sugar into the muscle. But the insulin which is going to travel through these GLUT4 receptors, they have some problem due to which the insulin is not able to traverse this channel and leave the sugar into the muscle. So that is type 2 diabetes. Usually, type 1 diabetes is the person who is usually not obese, or else he goes thin. A thin-built diabetic would be majorly a type 1 diabetic patient, while an obese diabetic patient might be type 2 diabetes patient. So, whatever it is, to improve this patient, to reverse this diabetes, either I will have to work on this insulin channel, the GLUT4 channel, or else I'll have to work on the insulin hormone. As of now, if at all you see in our nation, hardly about 5% of all these diabetic might be in type 1 diabetes. That is very, very rare and not so common. There are so many patients, but that is not as common as that of type 2. But 90 to 95% of these diabetics are type 2 diabetics, wherein it can be reversed very easily, in which we just have to work on those GLUT4 receptors. These GLUT4 receptors, due to obesity, due to excess amount of fat deposition, these GLUT4 receptors are usually packed up with the fat which has been got intermingled inside these channels. Now, the treatment on this is just to extract the fat out of it by some kind of dietary modification that we'll be doing. And once the fat inside this GLUT4 receptors is cleaned, the sugar molecule will travel from the blood column into the muscle mass.
I think you've explained such a scientific concept so simply that I could visualize everything transferring here and there. Sorry.
Absolutely right. And that is so easy. I don't really understand why several of these diabetic people continue having so many of medicines instead of reversing these diseases. Diabetes-like diseases are completely reversible. The type 2 is surely reversible. We just have to have some kind of discipline in our life. Many a times, as you just mentioned about the first incidents that he said that I am not a fitness freak, there is where the whole thing comes in. Many a times the mind doesn't accept to this point that I should reverse my disease, or else many a times people like to be in that comfort zone.
Victim zone, I call it.
Absolutely. So there is where the whole issue begins. One day, if the patient thinks that I want to reverse my disease, we are there to help him out, to get him out of
That's
that.
the willingness. Unless and so in our coaching also we say unless and until the client is not ready, you cannot coach them.
Very true. Very true.
You cannot work on a person who is not ready to wanting to get healed because they're already happy in the victim mode.
Very true.
They get all the treatments, they get all the presents, they get all the attention, so they enjoy it, unknowing and enjoy it. So as you're talking so much about diabetes, I usually come across like few lines, I am diabetic, so I feel sleepy all the time because of the insulin injection I take. Because I'm diabetic, something votes me or doesn't heal fast. Because I'm diabetic, I get tired very fast. Now I don't have the strength that I used to have before. Are these psychological or they are the facts?
These are facts. Like I just mentioned you, like for example, everybody on this earth needs sugar inside their muscles to be active. If at all this sugar which was there in the blood column, it would have traveled back into the muscles and the muscles would have utilized it, he would have been absolutely healthy and he would have been absolutely strong by mind as well as by his body. Because when the sugar usually get into the muscles get good amount of energy, and this patient usually who feels malaise, थकावट महसूस होती है, उसके हाथों पैरों में झुंझुनाहट महसूस होती है, all those things which usually happen is because the muscles lack the sugar as a source of energy. So this individual usually who is a diabetic, usually in the morning itself 10-10:30 बजे ही उसे थकावट होनी चालू हो जाती है, and usually this person says कि after meals I feel more weak. Because after meals, as soon as the blood में sugar बढ़ जाती है, muscles are craving for sugar. They are looking out to that blood column कि मुझे sugar भेजो, लेकिन भेजने के लिए कोई रास्ता नहीं है. Hence the muscles keep on crying for sugar. Blood keeps on crying because मेरे पास इतनी sugar पड़ी है, मैं किसको दूं? Because the sugar is not able to travel from here to that compartment, and there is where the whole problem begins. So for a diabetic individual, such kind of symptoms, ये मुझे थकावट महसूस हो रही है, आंखों को दिखना धुंधला हो रहा है, many a times the patient says कि रात को मुझे पेशाब के लिए उठना पड़ता है. There are several such complaints that a diabetic individual usually comes with, and gradually when the sugar stays back into the blood बोलता है मैं ज्यादा टाइम उसको उठा के लेके दौड़ूंगा नहीं, get back to the liver, and liver will manufacture fat out of this sugar. And gradually this individual who was earlier thin built now starts accumulating so much amount of fat in his body, and gradually the patient starts becoming obese. So an obese individual, when he is on any kind of diabetic medications or else he becomes a diabetic, his usual weight starts increasing at a certain level. But after a certain stage, when the disease has gone to a certain level, now this sugar itself starts killing the fat, and in a cascade, now the patient who has increased his weight after certain years starts dropping down with his weight, and he becomes very, very thin built, and he loses his texture of the skin, the shine on his face, the muscle mass also. So at the end, this whole seesaw phase or the curvature, whatever phase you could call about, initially the patient was very good muscular, then he became obese, and then he became thin built. Now he has lost the fat as well as the muscle mass. So that is how diabetes usually is called as a silent killer. कुछ करता नहीं है वो, ज्यादा कुछ सिम्टम्स दिखाता नहीं है, लेकिन अंदर से it eats out your body like a termite. So that is how diabetes is the worst disease and the worst silent killer. Everybody who's a diabetic should take care, reverse your diabetes with certain level of lifestyle modification. Once you do that, your job is done. You're out of the disease.
I also see that the kidney gets impacted in such a way that leads to another problem.
Absolutely. What happens?
Diabetes, kidney problem, leading to joint issues because now the weight is so high. Visceral fat has accumulated all over the body, not only at one point, all over the body.
Very true. So diabetes is a I would say is the father of all diseases, like kidney that you spoke about. What happens in case of kidney is normally whatever heart pumps the blood every minute, 20% of this blood, whatever heart has pumped, heart pumps usually 5 liters every minute. 20% of this 5 liter, that is 1 liter, will reach to your kidney every minute. And the kidney will filter that whole 1 liter and get the urine produced. Now, in a healthy individual, this goes on working very well. But as soon as, जैसे अभी हमने देखा कि खून में शक्कर का प्रमाण बढ़ते चला जा रहा है, this turbid blood, heart will not be able to pump this blood 5 liters with the same vigor that it was doing earlier, क्योंकि blood अभी turbid हो चुका है. Now this turbid blood which is not able to get pumped, hence instead of 5 liters, the heart might pump only 3 liters or 2 liters or 4 liters every minute, and due to a reduction in the cardiac output, the kidneys will get lesser amount of blood supply for them to manufacture the urine. Now, along with this, what happens? The sugar that was there inside this blood column, which has reached the kidney also, kidney says, I would not accept this as a blood to go to all of the body, clean it out. So to clean it, it will throw out that excess amount of sugar through the urine. So now the urine gets sweeter, and that is the main most important symptom that a patient usually presents with. But the sugar doesn't go outside alone. Sugar says मैं अकेली नहीं जाऊंगी, मैं शरीर का प्रोटीन भी उठा के लेके जाऊंगी. So now the muscle gets damaged because of the sugar, as well as the broken protein part of your muscle will be thrown out of the kidney. So now what happens is, kidney, which was not getting a good blood supply for itself, as well it is throwing out sugar, now it is throwing out proteins also. So this cascade now gets more and more deleterious for the body, and it kills the body every minute. At this moment, now when the kidney is throwing out urine, may say sugar as well as protein, the nephrons of the kidney, the cells of the kidney, they get damaged because of all these things. And now if the cells of the kidneys get damaged, gradually the patient gets into renal failure. So it started with a simple blood sugar, but it affected the muscles, it will affect the heart, it will affect the kidneys, it will affect the nerves, everything.
Yeah. I will also see people cutting off their fingers and all because they've infected so bad.
Absolutely. So because what happens, just a point on this, sugar usually leads to added infections. लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल, एवरीबडी घर पे जो डब्बा रखते हैं शुगर का, उसी में सबसे ज्यादा चींटियां होती है. सो दैट इज हाउ शुगर अट्रैक्ट्स इन्फेक्शंस. सो इफ एट ऑल द ब्लड शुगर इज हाई, दिस पेशेंट will attract a lot amount of infections, and once the infections start staying inside the body, it will kill each and every part of your body, and that is going to add on to the whole damage inside the body. उसी की वजह से amputation वगैरह वगैरह सारी चीजों से पहुंचना पड़ता है.
I mean, I'm impressed how you have made this whole thing so simple to understand. Now I understand the whole process ki how diabetes leads to kidney issues, how it leads to weight issues, how it leads to amputation issues and infections. I mean, only one diabetes taken care and really everything can be solved.
Absolutely.
At the same time, the beautiful is that diabetes can also be reversed by just following the basic healthy needs of life. So I have want to understand let's understand what are the early symptoms of diabetes. You don't have to test, you have to understand.
You don't have to. First and foremost thing, if at all your weight is going on increasing, in last say about 2-3 months, if at all you see that 3-4 kgs of weight has increased, that would be the first symptom. First. Second, सुबह उठने के बाद साधारण 8:30-9 बजे, if at all you start feeling lazy, if at all you start feeling worn out, अगर थकावट महसूस हो रही है, that is a symptom. Third, in the night, if at all you are supposed to get up for micturition or urination, it can be a symptom of diabetes. रात को नींद में पैर के पिंडरियों में अगर you are feeling those cramps in the night itself, it can be a symptom of diabetes. If at all आंखों को दिखते वक्त धुंधला दिख रहा है, that can be a symptom of diabetes. If at all you feel that you are feeling over thirsty, that can be a symptom of diabetes. If at all खाना खाने के बाद फिर से खाना खाने की चाह निर्माण हो रही है, that can be diabetes. So there are several such symptoms that diabetes comes up with. We have decided not to look at those symptoms and keep on enjoying our life with the wrong lifestyle. Then diabetes comes in.
And if these symptoms somebody identify, what should be the first step one should take?
Modify your lifestyle. Simple things. Like for example, if these symptoms
I mean, one should go to the doctor to confirm?
Yes. I would rather say yes. Now, going to a doctor, absolutely yes, because medical health is always going to keep you under monitoring. If at all you are under monitoring, you are under surveillance, obviously you will perform better. So in this case, first of all, you can get an investigation done. You can do several investigations. You can do a general blood sugar monitoring, that could be fasting as well as postprandial, that could be one. You can do an HbA1c testing. You can get a urine test to see whether the glucose and the proteins are being excreted from the blood or not. There could be several other tests like a lipid test which will tell you whether your triglycerides are raised or not, because pre-diabetic patients usually are seen with high triglyceride levels beyond 170. So if these are the scenarios, you are supposed to now meet the doctor and get this thing fixed up, because it is very, very easy to fix up this diabetes in the early stages. Once it goes beyond 10 years, once it goes beyond 15 years of diabetes, it becomes equally tough for us also to treat these patients. So the earlier you treat it, the faster you get into the recovery phase. So all those symptoms, once you see these kind of investigations, now if you got to reverse the diabetes, there are few simple hacks that you got to follow. 3-4 hacks that I like to tell you. The first one, stop all those things which are made up of sugar. Now शुगर मतलब कई लोग समझते हैं सिर्फ चीनी जो हमारे घर पे होती है, बट आई वुड रादर लाइक टू एक्सपैंड द डेफिनेशन ऑफ शुगर टू सेवरल थिंग्स. शुगर मतलब खुद चीनी, या तो फिर गुड़, शहद, गन्ना, गन्ने का जूस, शुगर फ्री की गोली, खजूर, मुनक्का एंड सारे फल. All these things is going to be called as sugar if at all you are in a pre-diabetic or a diabetic zone. तो इन सारी चीजों को बंद कर दो for about 4-6 months. 4-6 months, if at all you shut them down, that is the first hack that you got to do. The first one. Second, milk and milk related or milk derived things. कई बार लोगों को बोलते हैं दूध, मैं तो दूध पीता ही नहीं लोग बोलते हैं, लेकिन when we start asking them, there are several such things which are made up of milk. खुद दूध पीते हैं, या तो फिर चाय में या कॉफी में दूध होता है, या दही, छाछ, लस्सी, चीज, बटर, पनीर, गुलाब जाम, रसगुल्ले, पेड़ा, बर्फी, श्रीखंड, ब्रेड, बिस्किट, खारी, टोस्ट, पाव, केक, पेस्ट्री, मिल्कशेक, आइसक्रीम, चॉकलेट. There are several things that people keep on consuming which is made up of milk, और बाद में बोलते हैं मैं मिल्क ही नहीं पीता हूँ. But you got to understand that is the second most thing that you got to do, because insulin resistance is being generated by milk and milk derived food items. So if at all you shut down these things for about 5-6 months, the amount of insulin generated by milk, because milk has insulin secretion of 99%. If you shut down milk and milk derived food things, the excess amount of insulin that was getting generated in your body reduces. That's the second hack. Third thing that you got to do, the most easiest one, is going to be stop all those things which are refined foods, like मैदे से बनी हुई चीजें, या तो grains which are polished grains like गेहूं है, चावल है, ये आजकल polished मिलते हैं. Don't have these polished grains, have whole ग्रेन्स. लाइक जो गेहूं होता है उसके ऊपर जो कवर होता है उसके साथ गेहूं इस्तेमाल कीजिए, या तो फिर चावल होता है चावल के साथ जो कवर आता है उसके साथ चावल इस्तेमाल कीजिए. एब्सोल्युटली. बट नाउअडेज ब्राउन राइस, कलर वाले भी ब्राउन राइस मिलते हैं,
वो भी अभी के बासमती ब्राउन राइस.
एब्सोल्युटली. बट एक्चुअल ब्राउन राइस वुड बी द राइस विद द हस्क around itself. So if at all you start having those kind of grains, absolutely good. But whatever grains we have, don't go beyond 30 grams of raw material of that grains. If you go beyond 30 grams of raw material of grain, your stomach will not be able to digest, because your stomach is already full with insulin resistance and there's good amount of swelling and inflammation inside. So if at all you hold yourself to 30 grams of max of these kind of grain contents of your food, absolutely that would be the third hack. Fourth hack could be having about 800 grams to about a kg of vegetables every day. The more amount of vegetables you consume, the lesser is the insulin resistance that develops inside your body. तो जितने ज्यादा मैं vegetable खाना चालू कर दूं, उतना ही काम easy हो सकता है. So there are several such hacks that people can start at their home itself. They don't have to come to meet a doctor, because हमको मिलके क्या करेंगे, ये घर ही घर में कर दो, आपका काम ऐसे ही हो जाएगा. अपना टारगेट होना चाहिए, we should have a diabetes free India. ये टारगेट लेकर के चलेंगे तो everybody, if at all they start following this hack, whether you are diabetic, whether you are not, if at all you start doing it, you will empty your liver, because nowadays non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is due to diabetes, that has started increasing and the liver is getting affected because of it. If at all these hacks are followed by these people, I am sure that none of the patients would be there with their higher blood sugar. Everybody will come back with their normal blood sugar and nobody will need a doctor in the future.
So when we talk about all this, today we see 1 in 4 adult is overweight, 1 in 10 is diabetic, cardiovascular heart disease, the number one killer. And I think we're approaching all of these much faster than the West.
Right.
So how do you think we should all handle this as in this, when we know and we're realizing, because the stress level has gone just immense, we're just running behind the life, for the life that you're not even living in. Right?
So according to me, only 3 things you got to do to reduce this whole toll of heart disease, diabetes, obesity and all those things. 3 things. One is going to be concentrate on what you eat, how much you eat, and when you eat. That is the first thing for your food. Second is going to be about having your physical activities. The more you walk, it has been said in Ayurveda that if at all you walk for a certain distance, and they have mentioned the total distance that comes in nowadays kilometers, about 4 to 5 kilometers every day. If at all you walk consistently for the whole year, you are supposed to reverse all these diseases. So the activity that you do, again, what activity do you do? When do you do? Until what level do you do? If at all you concentrate on your physical activities every day, as you just mentioned, you spoke about that individual and you asked him to either swim or else walk or else do some kind of exercises. The same kind of things, if at all everybody starts doing, that would be the second thing to stop this whole menace of heart disease and other diseases. And the third thing is going to be, as you just mentioned, about stress. Nowadays, it has been mentioned that the question that you had asked earlier about every obese is not a diabetic and every diabetic is not obese. So, not necessarily every diabetic would be obese. The reason behind it is obesity doesn't lead to diabetes. It is about the stress that makes you a diabetic.
Also, stress makes you obese.
Absolutely. Stress is the reason for all the problems. And according to me, stress is nothing else, either being in the future or else being in the past and missing out the present. Is stress according to me. What is going to happen tomorrow? What has happened yesterday? If at all we start being in those phases and leave the present moment that you have got, which is the most beautiful moment. If you lose that, you get into stress. In Ayurveda, it has been mentioned that chintyanam ati chintanat iti rasavahini dushyanti. That means the more amount of stress that you develop for yourself, your blood vessels are going to get damaged, and repairing those damaged blood vessels is going to be a huge big task. So, if at all you got to understand the medical concept behind it, stress leads to production of stress hormones inside our body. Adrenaline, noradrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine. There are several hormones which come up in your body, and these hormones are known to only for 2 things. One is fight or else flight. कुछ तो एक करना पड़ेगा in such situations, and these hormones are responsible to generate that amount of energy in your body to either fight or else to run away. Whatever is your decision, whether to fight or to run away, you will need energy. Now, this energy source is nothing else but sugar. So, these hormones give the liver a clear open purchase order. कितनी sugar बनानी है बनाओ. The liver starts manufacturing sugar, and this whole sugar comes into your blood, which makes you more and more aggressive. And now this is the time, if at all you actually get into some kind of activity, either fight or flight, the sugar would get utilized. But many a times, stress makes you keep in the same moment for a longer amount of time. You neither fight, you neither quit. You stay in the same situation thinking about ye karu ya wo karu, and this makes your sugar stay in your blood for a longer amount of time, and all the cascade that we just spoke few minutes back begins in your body. So अगर stress है तो सिंपल सी चीज है, एक्शन ले लो. क्या सही है क्या गलत है ये सोचना हमारा काम नहीं है. जज वहां पे बैठा है, हम तो सिर्फ वकील है, हमने सिर्फ एक्शन ले लेनी है. एक्शन अगर ले लिए तो either it will be wrong or else right. If at all it's wrong, correct it later on, say sorry and get it rectified. If at all it's right, you have won the war.
I think Jeff Bezos was asked once, the founder of Amazon, you handle such a large and massive business. Don't you get stress? He said, stress, anxiety only comes when we are trying to, when we have not done something that we were supposed to do. Now the thing, when we've not done something that we were supposed to do, can also be the future expectation, which we're trying to live in the present, if I connect with what you said.
Very true.
So you're either living in future or you're living in past, not able to live in the moment. And if we know, but everything can be changed with the right awareness. I mean, knowledge is good, but awareness, I feel, is the king of all the things. So if you have an awareness, you either take action, could be right, wrong, rectify as the time comes, but take an action. So if you're getting stressed about something, at least take some action.
Absolutely. And I'll quote physics say, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. आप कुछ भी कर लो, कुछ ना कुछ तो होने वाला है, वो सही हो या गलत हो. So many a times, whatever patients I have met till today, I have seen that they have been in that limbo situation कि ये हुआ तो वो हो जाएगा, वो किया तो वो हो जाएगा, इसके लिए मैं कुछ भी नहीं करता हूँ. This is not how the life expects you to be. Life expects you to take some actions, whether right or wrong, everything is going to be decided on the later date. So as of now, if at all anybody is stressed, there could be several reasons. There are several such reasons which make a person stressed. कई चीजें ऐसी होती है जो आदमी को कुछ ज्यादा सोचने में मजबूर करती है, मैं समझ सकता हूँ. But that is a small duration. Be kind to yourself, be calm with yourself. Love yourself कि कभी कभी गलत टाइम भी आ जाता है. It is going to pass off. Just stay cool and enjoy with yourself. Things are going to change when it goes ahead. ये दिमाग में रख दिया तो I am sure that everybody will get out of the stress factor.
So now in the triad, I see that diabetes is the major problem while we move ahead. Is diabetes hereditary only?
Okay, no. See, diabetes
If not,
gene.
if not, then what leads to diabetes?
Okay. So many a times when patients meet us, they usually ask this question that I have been, my father and mother has been diabetic, so I also have to be diabetic. That is not a necessity. That diabetic gene can be inherited. Genetics can be inherited from your father and mother, but that doesn't give you 100% guarantee that you have to be a diabetic. According to me, diabetes is not genetic, it is cultural. There could be several genes that have come in your body from your mother and father, but not necessarily every gene has to get converted into a disease. Like, for example, my mother and father both were diabetic. I must be having a diabetic gene, but with my lifestyle being in control and all these hacks, whatever I have mentioned, when I continue doing those hacks, I am not a diabetic. So that is how you are supposed to understand that every diabetic is not a genetic person, and every time if at all you have a diabetic gene, not necessarily you have to be a diabetic. It is all cultural. Change your culture of food as well as exercise as well as stress. The things will get back in control. So if this is the answer, the second question that comes in, what makes you diabetic? It is not a single reason which makes you diabetic. It's a complete ecosystem which has been happening around yourself, which is making you diabetic. Like, for example, since the childhood, mother usually likes her child to eat so much nowadays that they feed their children like anything कि कल होने नहीं वाला आज ही खा लो. So much of food, when it enters inside the system, there's a huge amount of load on the liver. And liver is the first organ which is going to get impacted with this excess food, and the liver becomes fatty. This is at the age of about 17 to 20, 23, 25, when the liver starts getting fatty and the human being also starts getting fatty. लेकिन आजकल बोलते ये तो खाते पीते घर का आदमी है, इतना मोटा तो होना ही चाहिए. But this is not right. Everybody has to realize that the obesity is leading to fatty liver at that age. After that age, when that person starts getting into any kind of work culture, obviously work is going to be a bit of stressful, क्योंकि सब कुछ चीजें आपको जैसी चाहिए वैसी नहीं होने वाली, कुछ कुछ चीजें बुरी भी होने वाली है. So that stress now affects this individual, and this stress, when it starts producing excess amount of blood sugar in your body because of stress, this fatty liver, which was supposed to utilize the sugar and metabolize it, it is not able to, because it is already busy in digesting that fat. So liver is busy and your blood is generating more amount of sugar. Now this two both together hamper the pancreas. Now when the pancreas is hampered, there is huge amount of sugar in your body. Pancreas gets a message कि इतनी sugar है, ज़्यादा insulin बनाओ. तो insulin production goes on increasing. Insulin जब भी secrete होगा, insulin is an anabolic hormone. It will make you fatty. So now your liver was fatty, you were already fatty, अब insulin secrete हो रहा है and you became more and more obese. यही चर्बी जो अंदर निर्माण हुई है, in those GLUT4 receptors which are there on the muscles, this fat is going to get entry into these GLUT4 receptors and pack them, and the sugar entry into the muscles is going to get hampered, and this is the point where your blood sugar seems to be increasing every now and then, and this whole cascade makes you a diabetic.
Interesting. Beyond sugar, as we come to heart disease, beyond sugar and weight, what silent signals do you see in the patient that indicates a cardiac risk?
Many of them. Like, for example, there are several patients who have pedal edema. They have swelling on their legs. They don't realize it. So what happens whenever these patients are diabetic, obese or hypertensive, they feel more thirsty. This thirst makes them drink more amount of liquids. They don't find their thirst getting quenched with smaller amount of liquids, and hence they start increasing their fluid intake, and this leads to that kind of pedal edema या तो फिर पैरों में सूजन. That is the first thing that a heart patient should always look out for. That is one. Second, due to this swelling, there is a huge amount of buckets of water that the patient is carrying inside the body, and the patient starts feeling breathless. कई बार पेशेंट चढ़ते वक्त, सीढ़ियां चढ़ते वक्त, if at all you see the railway bridges, there are several patients when they climb up the railway bridge, हाथ पकड़ के बाजू में खड़े रहते हैं सांसें देते हुए. So that is a typical symptom of a heart patient कि कल परसों कहीं ना कहीं जाकर के प्रॉब्लम आने वाला है, क्योंकि your heart is not so capable to make you climb up the stairs.
So I have a question here. I had a friend, this is before the COVID, he was 24, I remember, and he used to play cricket every single day. Not fat at all. Of course, not obese. He was watching a movie in the afternoon. I'm saying he was fit because he was playing cricket every day. Not into like drinking and all to an excess also. I'm a very social drinker. Probably that if I remember correctly, or maybe he did not even drink because I never saw him drinking. Very early age, 24. Just went to the washroom and he died with an heart attack. The first. What could be the reason when it comes to person who does everything right? It's like यार मैंने तो कभी कुछ गलत नहीं किया फिर भी हार्ट अटैक से
I can understand. That's very, very shocking. But if at all we understand, it's again not a
sorry
single.
sorry I'll add one more question to that is that if these cases exist then what is that we are not recognizing or observing or missing in such people?
Okay. Many a times what happens, there is not a single reason to explain this, but there would be several of these things. Like you just mentioned, this individual was a good cricket player and he was quite fit because he used to play. That's a very good thing. Now what happens is heart attack, when we speak about heart attack, why does an individual get a heart attack? Heart attack is because of a blood clot. The blood has to be fluidy. It has to be a liquid in nature. But whenever this blood gets converted into a solid matter, it leads to blood clotting. So this blood clot, if at all it gets impacted in the coronary artery, in the artery supplying blood supply to your heart, if at all this blood clot gets impacted into it, the heart muscle will not get enough blood supply for that amount of time. Now, having said this, every heart has a reserve of about 6 hours. जैसे हमारे 2-wheeler 4-wheeler को रिजर्व की टाकी होती है, वैसे ही हमारे हार्ट को रिजर्व की टाकी होती है, which can go enough for about 6 hours. So 6 hours is what you have a good reserve flow with you, and many a times this blood clot, when it gets impacted, the heart fights against this blood clot and tries to survive for those 6 hours. Many a times this 6 hours वाला reserve अगर आपके पास कम रहा तो you will not be able to fight for 6 hours. The war might end in about an hour, 15 minutes, 2 hours, whatever is the reserve that we people have. If at all that reserve is not enough, the war will end early. That is one. Second, many a times it is seen that when people go to the washroom, it is seen that these kind of incidences happen in the washrooms itself. The reason behind it is very simple. Whenever you are supposed to micturate, whether you are supposed to urinate, whenever you are supposed to defecate, the blood pressure has to rise because it is an expulsive act. Whether it's vomiting, whether it's purgation, whether it's urination, blood pressure has to rise. If at all this rising blood pressure makes your arteries burst, it would again lead to the same thing. Many a times, keeping these two reasons aside, many a times there are incidences where the electrolytes in your body are not good enough. At that moment, the heart electrical system, which needs good amount of electrolytes, if those electrolytes don't reach to your cardiac system in the right manner, that would again stop the heart abruptly. So there are several reasons for this one incident that you spoke about. There could also be a big reason of stress. Maybe that day he was very calm, but the earlier day maybe he must have exerted a lot and the incidents must have started the earlier night or earlier day itself, and this went up till that level where the heart used up all the 6 hours and yet the blood clot was there inside, which was impacting the blood flow to the heart muscle, and that led to heart attack. So there are several such reasons. One answer will not be able to answer this, but there are several such things which happen inside the body which many a times go unidentified.
Many a times report says all normal, yet the next is something.
Absolutely. The science that we are unfolding in last, say, about 100, 200 years is not enough to understand the human body completely. We
Like you
think
said, it's an orchestra of business happening
absolutely,
inside.
and having an idea of each and every orchestra player, that what is he going on with and what is his psychological problem at that time. It's very difficult to identify what is going on in the body with simple of those reports. Those 20, 30 pages of reports are not enough to identify everything inside the body. Science has to still understand a lot. And that will keep us always working on this point and keep on to this point that we are supposed to take care of ourselves. The reports are not going to show everything. It's about your symptoms that the body is going to show. So honor your symptoms and you will understand your body well.
Since beginning we've spoken about fat, cholesterol also. Visceral fat we have used kiya. There's something called as ectopic fat also. Just for the listeners, can you simplify these terms like visceral fat and ectopic fat?
Okay. In simpler words, we'll talk about there are two types of fat. One is a fat which is seen normally on the abdomen, on the body surface, which is called as a superficial fat or else skin ke andar ka fat. This fat is not damaging. इससे व्यक्ति सुंदर दिखता है, उसके चेहरे पे शाइन आती है, all those things keep on happening, and this external fat which is there under the skin, superficial fascia और skin के बीच में जो fat, absolutely good, ये perfectly right है, इसमें कोई गलत नहीं है. The problem is the visceral fat. जब कभी ये फैट अपने लिवर के अंदर, पैंक्रियाज के अंदर, बाकी सारे ऑर्गन्स के अंदर, whenever the fat starts getting accumulated, the problem begins. Now, to identify this visceral fat, there are several such kind of investigations. Like you can do a usual sonography done for the liver, you can get an elastography done for the liver, there are MRI, there are CT scans, there are several such investigations by which you can identify this visceral fat. But to be very honest, to identify visceral fat, such bigger investigations से भी बेहतर होगा कि आपके शरीर के अंदर जो थकावट महसूस हो रही है, the metabolism which is going slow or else the metabolism which is going haywire, these are the early signs which shows that your liver or other organs are accumulating excess amount of fat. The best way to get rid of it is concentrate on food, what you eat, when do you eat, and how much do you eat. If these three things are being taken care of, any kind of fat is going to get out of the body. Now, when we speak about the superficial fat, that is necessary. Many a times Ayurveda says that this kind of fat is very much necessary to keep your body healthy. So, with a certain level of percentage of fat is required in your body, but when it goes over beyond it, the viscera starts accumulating.
What is up for women and men? What is a good percentage of fat?
Usually it has been said in males, it is somewhere about 7 to 10% of fat of your human body is good enough. In females, it is about the same, somewhere about 8 to 12% of fat is good inside a female body. That's the usual percentage that we go ahead with. It's more important how much is the fat. उससे भी ज़्यादा important होगा how much is the muscle protein that you have, how much is the muscle mass you have. So as what you said, resistance training जो होता है, जो जिम में हम लोग करते हैं, उससे muscle fibers grow होते हैं, heal होते हैं, and उसी की वजह से वो muscle fibers strong होते हैं. If at all anybody is into diabetes, blood pressure or heart diseases, if at all you start with resistance training gradually and your muscles get healthy, that will help you to reverse your disease very fast.
So, what is this term called ectopic fat? What is this ectopic
What
fat?
does ectopic means is wherever it was supposed to get situated, it has left that place and gone to somewhere else.
Okay.
So the viscera, the organs should not have fats in it. If the fats, the usual fats, leave from the usual site of adipose tissue and enter into the viscera or the organs, They have left, they have migrated from here to somewhere else, and they are going to create problems. That's how it has been described.
So in coaching, we say that, awareness usually precedes the change, right? Now, where am I coming from is that in the lifestyle that we are living, where we are stressful, we have lack of sleep, emotional eating is the second, not even second thing, I think first thing. The moment you get stressed, the moment you have lack of sleep, first thing, of course, your lifestyle is bound for a toss, your gym, your exercise, all of that, because you don't have time, you don't have enough sleep, you can't function better. But what you can function, body does is go for that food cravings that starts to happen, which we also call as emotional eating, right? How do somebody raise an awareness towards it? Because as a doctor, I'm sure you all have to do a lot of psychological work also.
A lot. So as what you said, emotional eating is behind stress. And I would rather say that awareness of this emotional eating, everybody should understand. Many a times it is, when I was in my earlier college days, we used to boast ourselves कि आज मैंने 12 रोटी खाई, तो वो बोलता है नहीं मैं 15 रोटी खाऊंगा. So we used to have these competitions, but I never knew at that moment that this is a problem. But later on, when I realized after reading and understanding all these things, अरे जितना खाना मतलब problem है. Our body, if at all we understand, our stomach की जो capacity होती है, that is 1.5 liter की capacity होती है, जिसमें ऐसा बोला जाता है कि 75% of this stomach capacity should be full with your food and 25% of your stomach capacity should be left alone. To digest the food, it needs some kind of space. So that is supposed to be kept empty.
Like बोलते हैं जितना भूखे उससे कम खाओ.
Perfect. लेकिन nowadays it's about उल्टा.
जितने भूखे ज्यादा खाओ.
ज़्यादा खाओ. So what happens is, when we start ingesting a lot, we start producing more amount of insulin hormone in our body, which leads to this kind of craving. There are hormones in our body like ghrelin hormone and all those hormones which will produce that kind of sensation inside. Either it will block the food intake or else it will increase the food intake. All those hormones have been already calibrated inside the body. Insulin is the king of the hormones. If at all, now earlier 15 days you have started increasing more amount of intake of your food, the 16th day you will start feeling more hungry. 17th day it will go on increasing and the cascade will increase day by day. But if you realize over here that you are eating more, and even if at all you are not hungry, खाना परोसा है तो खाना पड़ेगा, इसके लिए अगर हम खा रहे हैं तो that is a problem.
Time हो गया तो खाना पड़ेगा. I see lot of old people,
That's
nutrition people fall.
So there is where the problems begin. Then those old people start complaining about constipation kind of things because their gut flora has been damaged because of unnecessary eating. और ये सारी होने के बाद फिर दवाइयां खाएंगे. So there is a huge problem of awareness, as you said. Everybody should be aware about their body. People think that we will get huge amount of energy after eating food, but that is not right. Whatever food you have consumed, it is going to use up a lot amount of energy to digest the food. And you will feel sleepy after having food. Yes, because the energy has been utilized to digest the food. Whenever you are empty stomach, you won't feel lethargic. You will feel more energetic.
And hence, there are certain foods also create lethargy. Like in Ayurveda, they say brinjal should not be eaten.
Absolutely. Kapha vardhak foods. All those foods which will increase the kapha dosha in your body will make you feel lethargic, like milk. Like milk derived food items. All of these are going to increase your kapha dosha, like sugar and sugar related foods. It is going to increase the kapha dosha and it is going to make you feel lethargic. If you shut down these things and start consuming things which are tikta, katu, rasatmak, all those things, if at all you start consuming, the lethargy will disappear.
As you're talking about Ayurveda, Vata, Kapha, Pitta, this reminds me of Panchakarma, okay? And for me, Panchakarma was all about, in a way, Ayurvedic body massage. But when I was reading about you during this process, I understood that you'll use Panchakarma to reverse these triads, right? How does it happen? I mean, where are we missing this element, right?
Okay, okay. It was very simple. When I was learning my MBBS, I was learning my fellowship in cardiology from Apollo Hospital. My father was an eminent Ayurvedic physician, so I used to always ask these questions. Whatever questions you're asking me, I used to ask him every now and then. I used to harass him with those questions.
I'm a curious student.
Absolutely. So I love such students because what happens is whenever you ask questions, your mind is open and receptive to answer, to take those answers. So that is superb. So what happens exactly is, I'll give you an example. Basically, to understand first, Panchakarma procedures are nothing else but detoxification procedures. Now, detoxification is a very general term, but to make you understand, whatever कचरा अंदर निर्माण हुआ है, उस कचरे को उठा के बाहर फेंकने के लिए पंचकर्मा is the best way. So 5 कर्म होते हैं. Either you can throw out from emesis, that is called as therapeutic emesis. You can throw it through loose motions and therapeutic purgation. Third is enema, जो अंदर दमा डाल करके पूरा system clean करेंगे and everything will come out. That is the third. Fourth one is through nasya. You can put दवाई अंदर and it can reach the whole cranial system with this nasya. And the fifth is rakta mokshan. You can remove all the kachra in your blood through the rakta mokshan itself.
We also think breathing rest of work also helps
100%.
to clean, detox your liver, kidney.
100%. I would rather, when you have spoken about breathing, you got to understand that breathing can change the whole attitude of your life. Like, for example, right nostril, left nostril both have connections on the brain itself. The right nostril is connected left side, left nostril is connected in the right side, and sympathetic and parasympathetic systems are connected through these breathings. Like, for example, there are several patients who are hugely anxious. कि क्या होगा, कैसे होगा, अभी के अभी क्यों नहीं हो रहा. All those things, anxiety is huge high in those individuals. In those individuals, the nostril which is connected to your sympathetic system, उस nostril को शांत करना है, and the nostril which is connected to your parasympathetic system, which is going to feel you like a yogi and calm down yourself, that nostril is supposed to be activated with your breathing. So breathing exercises, anulom vilom ya to brahmari, there are several such breathing exercises that everybody has to practice. These are ancient Indian knowledge that we are supposed to harness.
I am missing it big time.
Absolutely, we are lot missing it. So if this science is being made aware of, when people understand this science and they start doing it, it is going to help so many people and they won't need a doctor in the future.
I so agree. I mean, just one of my incident 1 year back, I was practicing certain kriyas. It was fully breath work, and I just, because I was going through a program and I learned that and I was practicing that for around, I did for 40 days, but and the result which people came and told me just after 3 days of doing it, the first 3 days, my family started to tell me that you look younger than they.
Absolutely.
The skin is glowing all the time.
Very true. Breathing exercises can reverse most of those diseases.
And before starting that, I had an immense gut challenge, which I was going to doctors, taking proper. And I follow a very stringent diet, not that I eat anything and everything. I don't eat outside food or anything. Yet I was facing certain thyroid issues. 3 days of practice reversed everything for me.
Actually, it is very simple. You don't need any tools, no props, nothing is required. Everything is there with us. We just have to start with those breathing exercises, make yourself aware about it, and the job is done. It's so simple. The solutions are too easy. We just have to be aware about it.
As we were talking about the psychological aspect, how do you work on the psychological part of the patients to, like, we discussed, we cannot change the person unless the person is willing to do that, right? And for your self-awareness, even after awareness, the willingness has to support it. Like, you have to walk a kilometer, you have to curb on your sugar or maybe sweet intake, or you have to quit something completely. You need that, hum bolte hain na, willpower as a word. What is that thing you all do, or how do you train the patients for you?
So I personally believe that every individual is going to take a decision sooner or later. It is the time that every individual takes to come to that decision. Many a times, the day when that patient meets the doctor, maybe he is not in a position to take a decision of changing his lifestyle at that moment because of certain n number of reasons. We as doctors, we are supposed to understand the psychology of the patient and be with him till he starts with that decision making process. Many a times patients who meet us, they have started their already deciding factor, and then they have come to us and they say, we are ready to do everything, give me the solution. So many times that makes our job much more easier. But there are certain patients who are very staunch with their thought process, ये ऐसा होता ही नहीं है. So in that case, we are supposed to make them understand the whole pathophysiology. Many of those people are people like me who want to understand each and every science behind it कि ये कैसे होगा. So I respect those individuals also because I respect myself also, and I try to explain them everything in detail, that how is this actually going to help and what level of day you will feel what level of improvement. ये अगर उनको पता चलता है तो उनका काम easy हो जाता है, because many a times people are into some kind of unknown project management kind of things, that every day there should be something that I should be able to measure, and that is how those people will try to get into those things, and then those people really accept, start implementing it, and the things change.
Now let's talk about the business part of this that you're doing, and you're running more than 350 plus centers, and I mean India and globally. I'm sure you would have got stressed. How do you handle it?
From that Jeff Bezos phrase that you just mentioned, I usually try to put it in this way, that stress is a thing which usually comes in if at all you do things which you don't like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, my mission of my life is reversal of these diseases. I have given my life for that cause. अब उससे छोड़ करके अगर दूसरा मुझे कुछ करना पड़ता है, I will get stressed. But if you ask me to do anything in that whole zone of disease reversal, I will enjoy doing it.
But we all have goals. We all have vision. We all have times to those goals and vision, right? Not necessarily it happens the way we want. And then that leads for people to get anxious.
Absolutely. I believe, 100%. It happens to everybody. Like for example, there are several things which we have planned कि इस साल में ये सारी चीजें होनी चाहिए, but that doesn't happen. According to me, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि we are supposed to accept things as they are. I believe after 25 years of all these business handling and all these study, whatever I have gone through, I have realized one thing. There are several occasions when we had tried n number of things and the thing would not work. Well, the same thing, after certain years when we had done nothing, the solution came up by themselves. So मैं इस नतीजे पर पहुंचा हूं कि चीजें अपने आप होती है. You are just over there to do those karma and reap the benefits. It's our job to keep on doing. कब उसका फल मिलेगा ये उस पे छोड़ देते हैं. सही समय पे वो फल मिलने वाला है. Just be patient.
Yeah. And I also believe that it is there for you. I mean, वही है, आपके पास है. But जब तक आप वो prepare नहीं होगे ना, ready.
So you're not authorized to touch it right now.
Yeah.
You will get
So
that
this
authorization.
process makes you ready to, when you get it, you'll be able to enjoy it.
Perfectly. You are not eligible to get that right now. Very true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like, you are in a college, you are in maybe in your, first year of your degree. By year end, you will get the certificate. But to get the certificate, you need to pass the examination. So you're getting prepared to pass that examination.
Very true. Very true. So मेरे हिसाब से stress is only that thing which you have been very, very stringent with your thoughts कि ऐसा ही होना चाहिए था, क्यों नहीं हुआ. We are nobody to decide what has to happen. we are all just to keep on doing things. क्या होने वाला है वो उस पे छोड़ दो, क्या करना है वो हम पे छोड़ देंगे. So whenever I am a fond lover of these Mahabharata stories and all those things, so I have concluded so many things out of it, and out of that one thing is very sure, that keeping on doing your tasks is our job. Whether those tasks will yield fruits right now or later, it's his jurisdiction to think about.
कर्म कर फल की इच्छा.
So karmanyevadhikaraste ma phadeshu kalachana. So it's so simple. So stress, I don't think so it's going to be stressful. It is going to be stressful only if at all you are stringent with your thoughts and you are impatient, stress will strike you. Just enjoy the duration, just enjoy that moment, just enjoy that work, and your problem disappears.
Right. 0 to 350 plus. This journey, how did you make it?
To be very honest, I have a very, very capable team. My team has made this happen.
But day one would not be that.
Absolutely, absolutely. According to me, it's your passion, it's your mission. If at all your mission and passion is inclusive, and if at all you are ready to get people inside your whole mission and passion, things will evolve, the team will grow, and things will happen. According to me, whatever was my mission, whatever my passion, I started with a very clear thought कि मुझे उनको सॉरी बोलना है. अब उस दौर पे जैसे हम आगे चलते गए, people started joining up, and now we have more than 450 doctors who are practicing with this whole science, and more than about 2,000 people who are into this Madhavbag family. So the things are evolving, and I am very clear about it that he has sent me over here just to do this karma. And even if at all I would have not been there, somebody else would have done it. So this was already decided by him. I haven't taken it from 0 to 350. It's still going on, and I'm sure that it will still go ahead because the mission is very simple. I want a heart disease-free India. That is what we are going ahead with. I am lucky that I am born with this mission. So I think I am the most honored person from him.
Yeah. What I know you mentioned about your why, but what is that? I'm not saying what. How do you keep going every single day?
It's the passion. What happens is,
I know your why and purposes. I'm sure that's the bottom line of everything. Yet what's next? Sometimes you do get
Absolutely.
and you do get tired.
Absolutely.
Right?
Many a times when we lose, when we are, because I am sure that all 100%
And that
patients,
moment you cannot remind yourself, oh, mera why kya tha? I mean, it's very easy said than done, right? So
maybe it has gone into the genetic modeling now, that so many times I have failed in my life. People only recognize the success.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But failure has taught me so many times that after failure, you're going to win. So the day I fail, I'm much more happier because it's about tomorrow that I'm going to win. But the day I am successful, I'm afraid. ये तो जीत लिया, आगे मुझे फिर से failure देखना है. So I usually try to be very patient in case of failure also, in case of success also. Because I see it's like a day and night that is going on, each other things that are coming up after each other. But what are we supposed to understand is, ये चीजें होते रहने वाली है. Stay patient, keep on doing your task. There are chances that you might fail 99% times. एक बार जो जीतोगे ना, वो दुनिया के लिए काफी होने वाला है. वो एक के लिए 90 टाइम हार लो.
And I say that the 99 time was a preparation for that one.
Absolutely.
The last one.
Absolutely. As well, many a times when my team members tell me, sir, ये करेंगे तो गलत हो जाएगा कुछ, तो मैं बोलता हूँ गलत होना है ना, तो होगा ही, जल्दी कर लो, ताकि गलत खत्म हो जाए तो सही तो दिखाई पड़े. Many a times stress is all about this, कि ये गलत ना हो जाए इसके लिए ना कहे. Be ready to handle everything in your life. Equip yourselves. If you equip yourselves to handle everything emotionally, physically, everything will happen. Just keep on doing things and you will survive.
Very nice, very nice. I love the belief system that carries because for each one of us, मैं ये मानती हूँ or I also see in my coaching, it's the identity that we carry makes us what we are. And more identity is nothing else is equal to the belief that we can. And that belief makes us going every single day, even when you're not successful, even when you're losing, even when there are bad feedbacks, even when there are multiple failures. It's the belief that keeps you going, and that belief makes you who you are.
Very true. Absolutely right. The belief is all the basic mitochondria of the whole universe. Whatever you believe, you will see happening. So I usually keep this thought in my mind. Today there are so many people with me. Tomorrow consider nobody is there with me. I'll keep on walking alone. मुझे वहां पे जवाब देना है तो कर्म में मुझे ही करना पड़ेगा. It's so simple.
Belief is also the story that we tell to ourselves.
Very true.
And when you keep saying Mahabharata and you keep repeating those verses, it reminds me of a line when, one of my coach once mentioned that universe is not made of molecules and atoms. It's actually made of stories.
Excellent. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the science of law of attraction is nothing else but it's this.
Very true. And these stories make you believe something. And whatever you believe, that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think very nice conversation. So, at some point we also spoke about that there is so much research going about and everything that's happening is still not enough to understand the orchestra of human body. Just to ask it from now, at this point in time, and you've been working with more than 2,000 patients, where is the biggest gap that you see right now in our medical system?
It's again the belief that I see. We think that modern medicine knows everything. But when I've studied modern medicine as well as I've studied Ayurveda, what have I realized is several of these modern medicines are based on Ayurvedic concepts itself. If you talk about the best acting allopathic cardiotonic agent called as digitalis, that is nothing else but a foxglove plant from Ayurveda called as Rutpatri. If you talk about the best acting antiplatelet agent called as Ecosprin, that is nothing else but Jalavetas from Ayurveda. If at all you talk about the multi-billion-dollar industry of statin, that is nothing else but derived from the fungus from the red rice. If at all you talk about the mucolytic agents जो कफ सिरप में हम लोग डालते हैं, that is nothing else but pineapple chromoglycate. So there are several such examples which show that allopathy is based on Ayurvedic concepts only. But an integration in between this modern science and Ayurveda for the benefit of the patient.
I think our Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also been talking about the integration at the sun hugely. Because one kind of gives a fast result, but another is the solution to all the problem from the core.
Absolutely. So this integration is supposed to be taught from the college days itself during MBBS and BMS studies. Many a times we create the rift in between allopathy and Ayurveda through the education system. If this has been combined with each other and has been addressed rightly in the right manner, when what is supposed to be used and when what is not supposed to be used, if at all that is very clear in the education system itself, the maximum benefit is going to be for the layman. So that is the only thing that I see which has to be dealt with in the right thought process. And I am sure that the current government is going on in the right direction and sooner or later we'll see good results coming out of it.
If you have to summarize one mindset shift, through all the conversation that has helped you to really see a change in one of the most difficult patients that you have had.
A lot. There are so many such examples. I'll give you one example that was long back, somewhere in 2008, 2009, which
Who
had
actually
changed.
moved from the idea of being victim to, I want to be a white and
Absolutely.
be high.
Absolutely. And there were not only one, but the son and the father. The father was a heart patient and he used to feel angina as well as breathlessness even after 10 to 12 steps also. It was so bad. He had the triple vessel coronary artery disease. All the coronary arteries were blocked with blockages and he was advised with an urgent bypass surgery. His son loved loved allopathy, while the father, he was a Muslim patient and he loved Ayurveda. So his son said, I am supposed to book your bypass surgery appointment on this date. Father said, okay, you're supposed to book that appointment on that. No problem. मुझे उसके पहले के 7 दिन दे दो where I'll go and stay at Madhavbagh. So he came over at Madhavbagh. His son also came in. His son said, if at all anything is there, I will immediately drive you down to the hospital and get yourself under the surgery. Father said, I am open. First 7 days we'll spend over there and let's see. At Madhavbagh, usually what do we do is the patient on the first day is supposed to walk on our walking track, where we assess the patient on a subjective kind of scale. We have various objective interventions also, stress test, 2D echo, GLS, cardiac output monitoring. There are several such investigations that we do, but this is an investigation which the patient usually likes कि मैं कितना चल पाता. So this individual was not able to walk hardly for about 20 meters also on the first day, and he started gasping. He started getting that chest pain. His son said, Dad, I will drive you right now to the hospital and get yourself under the bypass surgery and you will be absolutely fine. Father said, no, I want to be over here and try it out for 7 days. If this doesn't work, I'll go for surgery. Son said, okay, fine. And the son left from there with that kind of angry kind of sensation. And he left and he said, I'll be coming on the 6th day. 6th day, we are going over there and getting you under the surgery. Father said, okay, go, I'll manage. Now those treatment modalities began. Every day that the human being, that person, that patient did all those things, whatever we advised them, the food, the exercises, the Panchakarma procedures, all those things went good. And on the 6th night, the son came in. 7th day was the day of assessment and the son came in over there about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning over there at the walking track. And there that father walked for about 12 rounds of 160 meters each. That was about 2 kilometers without feeling breathless, without feeling any kind of angina. That was the day when his son at that moment came down on his knees and said, it's all because of Madhavbagh that has happened. That my father, I had never seen my father walking with such a distance and such a speed. This is something great that has happened. And the father told him that Ayurveda is very, very strong in itself because he has believed in his earlier life with Ayurveda. Now, this made a complete change in the son's mindset that yes, Ayurveda is an equivalent science which can help the patient reverse from those diseases.
Beautiful, an amazing story, a beautiful case study that you mentioned. You shared how a son's mindset shifted by seeing the result only in 6 days, and a father who's, all the 4 arteries were cured. Amazing. We usually say our body is a temple, we should worship it. I also feel our body is like a diary. It remembers all the thoughts, all the emotions, all the energy, all the food items that we are fed into.
It's a full temple of artificial intelligence, I would call it. Everything is remembered. It has a huge, good memory, and we usually call it as a brain memory, muscle memory, mitochondria memory. Everything has a memory in itself. You're absolutely right.
And our body has all the abilities to rewrite it also.
Very true. So it can learn again and again and improvise its own functionings.
Till the moment we die. So I think this was one such conversation where we not only learned about the triads, how we could secure ourselves, what symptoms that we need to carry, but also the body and mind connection, the body memory, and how we can rewire it or rewrite it for a better health without going through surgeries under the needle, and live a very hearty, healthy life through Mother Path. So thank you for your time, Dr. Rohit Sahane. It was amazing conversation. I wish we had more time with you. But thanks for your valuable time and you.
Thank you.
Thank you.